Dr. Mohamed Abdelati, my dear friend, Mrs. and Mr. Ministers, ambassadors, dear friends of water. It's always a great honor for the World Water Council and its president to participate in the Cairo Water Week. Relations between Egypt and our council are long-standing and very friendly. The government of Egypt contributed to the creation of the World Water Council 25 years ago, and its first president was Dr. Mahmoud Abu Zaid, and let me greet him and assure him of my full consideration. Talking about water in Egypt is natural. The Nile, as it has been said, is a nourishing river that throughout the centuries has irrigated the Egyptian intelligence and the Egyptian culture. Thanks to the Nile, Egypt is a great water nation that knows the ills of water scarcity and the benefits of pure and abundant water. And yet in the world, dear friends, water is suffering, and it's no longer sufficient to satisfy the water needs for nature and human beings. It must be said clearly and forcefully, humanity is living beyond its own water means. Humanity is mistreating water. Water is missing, water is wasted, water is abused almost everywhere in the world. Can we imagine, ladies and gentlemen, can we imagine that situation can continue? Can we imagine that the planet can continue to live with polluted air and abused water? Water is in crisis, in addition to the many other crises that threaten our survival. Food crisis, health crisis, energy crisis, and this water crisis also added to diplomatic, military, nuclear, ocean, and geostrategic tensions in general. Ladies and gentlemen, air and water are the first resources essential to life, and we must, therefore, take special care to protect them. This land, this region of the Mashrek is particularly affected by these threats to water. Aridity, of course, has always been a characteristic of this great region, from the Atlantic to the Indian Ocean, from the Black Sea to the Horn of Africa, from the Arabian Peninsula to the Great Sahara Desert. Over the centuries, humans have sometimes allowed the desert to expand through carelessness or resignation. But we have also, through our creative genius, your Egyptian genius, to tame it and multiply houses and irrigated areas to provide abundance and prosperity. However, today the world's population is growing faster than the desert, and the population demands more and more water to produce food, to manufacture cars, to meet better hygiene. The earth is thirsty, and men are hungry. Not only for food, men are hungry for security, for progress, for development. Cities are becoming more and more populated. But mega cities are not smart cities. They are first and foremost reservoirs of poverty, reservoirs of misery and labor force, where the new slaves of modern times are packed. The climate and its evolution is an additional difficulty. Here, some more water, and there torrential rains appearing, there increasing growth. At the same time, scarcity is expanding. But I would like to thank you, Dr. Elati. Look at this wall. For the first time in an important international conference, the world population appears with water. And this person, man, woman, children, I don't know, is expressing this new idea that nature needs water and water needs nature. Thank you for that. So this is the current situation: natural aridity, economic growth and social progress, overpopulation and climate are the enemies of water security. And as I was saying there, nature also requires water more and more to protect our ecosystems and enhance biodiversity. We need water for man and we need water for nature. We no longer have a choice to do nothing, to hear nothing, to remain silent, to look the other way is to give way to tensions, to conflicts, and who knows, to wars. The necessity is to wake up, to consume, to innovate, to carry the voice of water, to create a true water consciousness. This is our imperious obligation. How can we do this? How can we do this? First, by conviction, by convincing all the leaders of the planet, head of states, government, ministers, parliamentarians, basin authorities, mayors, local elected people, convince them that providing, respecting, and sharing access to water for all is both a duty and a right. On the one hand, it's a universal and collective right. It's urgent right to be included in the constitutions and founding texts of each country, each region, each city. Let us recall that today only quite 50 states have met this necessary obligation in their constitutions. Only 50. But if it's a collective right, it's also an individual right, a social right for each child, each woman, each man to have access every day, every hour to the minimum water supply, the necessary quantity and the acceptable quality. And at this moment, I'd like to say that if Egypt suffers from all these threats to water, experiencing water scarcity, Egypt is one of the best laboratory of solutions that the world has implemented. Egypt is taking the best of the latest technological innovations to increase water supply. Let me mention a few examples. Egypt is already operating quite 20 desalination plants and is planning to construct around 50 before 2030. Egypt is implementing reuse of wastewater with modern wastewater treatment plants, which gradually allow to re-inject water for nature, water for agriculture, and even tomorrow, water for domestic use. In 2020, the wastewater treatment plant of all Mashama in the governorate of Ismailia, received the first prize of the best project of reused water in the world, delivered by the Engineering New Record. In the same time, the Red Sea Governorate has been experimenting since 2016 treated wastewater to irrigate parks and public gardens, like other cities in the Maghreb, including Algeria, Tunisia, or Rabat in Morocco. These actions, ladies and gentlemen, are examples of the ability to use advanced technological and digital development to cope with the decline in resources from the Nile. Egypt is also a forerunner in terms of regulation and control of the demand for fresh water and its consumption. The government of Egypt is showing vision and courage, political courage in this area. Farmers are now enticed to respect new regulations. From now on, restrictions on certain crops such as rice, sugar,